Hey there, everybody. How's it going? Donovan TPS here with another episode of Reflections, the podcast where I dive into the past, present, and future of friends in my industry who I've worked with or who do excellent work or I'm inspired by their work or all three. And today I have a great guest. We go back to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Just kidding. We're both from planet Earth. Uh, Damali, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hey, great. It's good
How
to
are
see you,
you?
Evan. I'm good. I'm well, as well as you
Yeah,
can this time.
yeah. Oh, thank you for coming in. I mean, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Not a
Yeah,
problem. I didn't even know you had a podcast going, so I'm glad you made me aware. I'm happy to be here.
yeah, yeah. I just started it like recording like a few months ago, but I'm trying to because it's for the 13 years of like uploading I've been doing of like video and filmmaking. So trying to find, guests who have been, and even if I haven't necessarily worked with you on stuff, but if you've done great work, which you have,
Well,
um,
thank
yeah,
you.
oh, you're welcome. Oh, I
Oh,
think
yeah. I
is
toggled.
it's just you have to mute your Zoom.
Feedback. It's
Okay,
feedback. Got you. Got
no,
you.
that's okay. That's okay. Well, like I said, welcome. And great to have you on here. Um, I want to dive into it because before we met, I think you were always involved in gymnastics. Is that correct? And your like dad was is and still is bodybuilder.
Right. Yes, this is true.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
prior to high school and during high school, I was a competitive gymnast for many years. I played sports prior to then, but then when I got to that sport, I remember walking into the gym and I saw a girl doing a skill that's called giants, which you're
yeah.
holding onto the bar and you're swinging around the bar, straight around the bar, just holding on by your hands. And I was like, I want to do that. Like that's what I wanted to jam, but I didn't know that I was years away from doing that. So it was like
Mm,
it was always just a great challenge because you learn something, and every time you get to that, there was always something new to learn, and it was always something more challenging for you to do and achieve. So I really love the sport, and that's yeah, definitely I was doing that before and into high school, all the way up
mhm.
until I was a competitive gymnast until I went away to college because they didn't offer gymnastics at my college. So yeah.
So I wanted to so you said there was that moment you saw what was the person do? It was the bigs.
There's something
Is that
called giants. It's a skill that's called
giants?
giants.
Yeah,
You're
and
holding on to a high bar and you're swinging around the bar with your whole body nice and straight, when it
mhm,
is. And I thought that was just the coolest thing, especially like growing up as like a little animal and climbing
yeah,
everything and doing all these skills and learning stuff. So, but I didn't realize that that's not something you just learn the next day. Like that
yeah.
was
It takes
leveling
time.
away from there. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
take so in between because then you said you saw that and then you didn't because sort of like with my filmmaking like I saw films, I love films, I did the VHS videos. I didn't really grasp it until high school, which we'll get into eventually. So in between, that you see that and then finally you realize that did you want to do something else? Like I wanted to be a scientist when I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
like in elementary school.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I wasn't I knew that I wanted to do gymnastics, but I was also a late starter. Like I didn't start. I
Yeah.
was already almost 10, and that's like if you're trying to do Olympics and stuff, usually you start before. But I was a natural, so I ended up getting all the way to level 8 before I
Hmm.
had to like retire. I was going off to college, so that was kind of the end of that. Like but I mean everything that I utilized and I learned there gave me an easy transition to every other sport and every other thing that was like athletically like inclined. Like I was able to jump right in because of everything that I learned from my sport and how well rounded
Yeah.
it made my body and my mind and everything. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, hobbies like I grew up a tomboy, so I mean, there was a
Nice.
handball court right in the front of the building, and in the back, I was playing football with the guys. Like it was
Hmm.
either handball in the front, football in the back, or like I even played the piano for a few years, like concert piano, for a while. I had a Russian teacher.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she used to like hit my hand and everything was
Uh,
very strict. But
yeah,
yeah, no, all these things I ended up doing in between, and but I mean, gymnastics was something that always stuck because I loved it. It was just always so challenging. I was
mhm,
learning way more than just the sport itself, which really helped zone and prone into my life and
yeah,
led where I am now without even knowing.
yeah. Well, also, I mean, and I've seen. I remember. So you're how many championships has your dad won? Because I'm not sure, right? I didn't get to ask.
So many. I wish I could just flip
Yeah.
this camera around. You could see the amount of
Because
trophies. There's showcases
yeah,
and showcases worth of trophies. I mean, he
I
got all
saw
the
him
way
when he.
to Mr. Universe. He has Arnold Schwarzenegger's
Oh
old
wow!
title of Mr. Universe.
Congrats.
So from
Yeah.
States to Mr. USA to like we were on the road a lot because remember he started in powerlifting, and I think that's
Oh
what created
wow.
him to be such a champion, like such a successful bodybuilding champion, is because he started in powerlifting and then
Mhm.
when he transferred over, he already had all that like foundation that really helped him skyrocket through that. It's kind of like the gymnastics. He kind of had this
Yeah.
foundation that kind of opens up to lead to these other things and championships. But yeah, no, he won Mr. Universe, I think about
Oh
4 years
wow.
in a row, like first place, and then just kept in the top three after then. He's in his 60s now, and he did it last year, and he was second place. But
Wow. Congrats.
he hasn't gotten first place in a couple years. It's been like three,
Yeah.
4. Like, but he's 60 now. He's happy with his championship and still placing top three is
Yeah.
very
That's
very achievable.
well. That's amazing because I remember in high school, you like you mentioned that,
Mhm.
and of course we're definitely gonna dive into you, but I always remember that, and it was like, I would hear about it, like, oh, Damali's dad is a bodybuilder. I'm like, what? As a fan, as I was a fan of wrestling, and I had never really. So then I think I saw him. I think he came to one of the shows,
Yeah.
and then I looked. I was like, all right, let me see. Is it true? Yes, it was true. I was like, man, how do I get biceps like that? And I was like, I think it was 2007 or 2006. I was like, I want to be. That's what I want, and that's. I
You
mean, I
gotta
wouldn't start
let
working out
that
until years later. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was. I was, but yes, it was. He is the real deal. Yes, indeed. And like I said, even seeing him that once. Yeah, but I knew you were the real deal already with the gymnastics and with the other stuff back then, because like, because I'm trying to figure out like I don't remember I don't remember our first time meeting. Do you remember our first time meeting?
Let's see. When I don't remember the first time. It was in
Yeah,
2007. I think you made a note that it was in 2007 or 6.
I think so.
2007, I was graduating. I graduated
Oh,
2007,
okay,
so it was definitely before that. And I think I probably first would have met you in like 2005, 2006. And it wasn't
okay.
until you were hanging out. You were one of the people who used to hang out in the student government office constantly. Like you'd
Yeah,
always volunteer. You'd always be having like a willing, like reaching out a willing hand. Like that was
yeah, yeah.
when I remember like officially meeting you. So I want to say that was 2005, 2006. And I
Okay.
already by 2007 as gotten that you were running for that next year, but I left 2007 that spring because
Oh, okay,
hmm
okay. I
hmm
remember that now. So what? Oh, sorry. What'd you say? Oops. All right. What?
yeah, that's what I remember from it.
Yeah, like always. I think. What were your positions in the student organization? You were three member council, and what was
I think
before?
I don't know where I started, but I know I got up to because it was three positions for president of the student government.
Yeah.
Three. Yeah, that was the last one I remember because I think I might have did that twice in a row. So
Okay.
the last 2 years would have been the president of student government there. But the one I don't know if I started as secretary or I started volunteering because I remember initially like that's what they had what dragged me into that and not drag me because I was willingly jumping into that. It was the
Hmm.
leadership trip and how
Yeah.
friendly everybody was that was on that student organization prior to you and how welcoming it felt and for the first time in my life, I felt like people were genuine, and I kind of wanted to be a part of that because I mean, although I grew up a tomboy and was doing all the schools prior to high school, believe it or not, I was very much bullied. Like it was very
Ah.
growing up because my gymnastics life and all that was separate from my
Hmm.
schooling and anything like that. So it was kind of rough growing up in Starrett in the in East Side Brooklyn there, and
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
high school was just like finally a break from that, and people were so friendly. And then my grades were high enough, so they invited me to this leadership trip. So it was the first time I went away with school kids, and
Hmm.
just that experience was just. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do and be a part of at that time. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I and I remember that you were. I know you were in my whatever groups I was in. 2006 or 2007 for leadership trip.
Hmm.
I know. I don't think. Yeah, you were never my leader, but I
Hmm.
knew you because I did start to talk to a lot of the SO members as I did. As I did hang out. And it was inspiring because I was like, oh, I want to. That's where I like to be, and eventually, of course, I would end up there.
Yeah.
Um, but what other stuff were you? Because I remember you did a few shows. You performed a few. I'm trying to remember what exactly you performed at
Oh,
the.
oh,
Because did you?
and that was the first time I think I showcased for the variety shows or the talent shows. So when I showcased the gymnastics floor routine, like that's the first time I did it outside of my sport itself because we weren't. It was so strict, and when you're a competitive gymnast, you're not allowed to do all of these things outside of
Yeah,
competitions in the gym itself where it's safe. But I decided to turn it into a dance, and I choreographed whatever the top song of that year was. It was probably like a Ciara song or something,
yeah,
everyone was jamming to. And I created a dance routine and did gymnastics all between. So it was like a floor routine on stage, and it went way better than I imagined. Like I didn't even
yeah,
people at that time realized too, whoever didn't know prior to that, I was a gymnast and all that because I didn't go around flipping through the hallways of doing it. Like
yeah,
that
yeah,
was the time they kind of saw it. So yeah, and that
yeah.
was invigorating very much. Hmm.
I I remember that show because like I said, I was trying to place when you did the gymnastics thing, and so I guess it was 2007 or like I said,
It would have been a
2006.
2000. Did I do it twice? Maybe 2005, 2006, or 2006, 2007. I
I
feel
think
like I only might have done it once before I left. That was my first time. It's
yeah,
just like when I got to college that anytime there was a talent show, I was like, "Ooh, I'll do it here too."
yeah,
So,
yeah. I've
mhm,
and I wanted to ask. So was that kind of your first? So that was kind of your first
performance.
performance. But did you? You never did like modeling club or Dewey Dance Ensemble, right? Ever?
Yeah, I did. And you know
Oh,
what?
okay.
You had me because you asked all of this that I pulled out the handy
Oh,
dandy year.
nice.
And I looked
Ooh.
through it, and at the back there, there was like six different clubs that I was in. I
Oh
was the
wow.
president of the modeling club. Like I came in through, so I had to like rehab. I have photos. This is why I wasn't sure if we were recording or anything or
Oh, okay.
visual aid because I had photos that I could have shown
Yeah.
it, and only because I went on memory lane this morning. Like,
Uh
exactly.
because it's a podcast, it's a audio. I know.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, no, I was there, and I was there as
Oh,
president of the modeling club. I
oh
was
nice.
also in the marine biology club because marine biology was my major going into college, and that's
Wow.
what Dewey was known for too.
Yeah.
Also, one in the SO, they were all there. I know you can only see this yourself, but that was the student organization at the time. Frank Van Pinsada.
Oh yeah, yeah, Mr. B, yeah.
um,
Classic.
Yeah, so no, I was really in a lot of clubs here, which was really crazy. Like I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I was really bouncing around. It's like I was able to do all that in my school, and being a part of the student government allotted. Somebody had enrolled me in they put me up for the national honor roll. So then I got
Oh nice.
because of being a part of all these clubs and the student
Yeah.
government and everything on top. So then they ended up sending me books. So I got published in.
Ooh.
So yeah, I was definitely a part of all of the, and these run times were simpler. I don't know how I used to
Yeah.
balance all of these things.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, we'll definitely even though like I said, I know this is audio, I'd be down to do a quick video with the Zoom and record on my end. We'll talk about it after. But no, but yeah, I didn't realize we were gonna have that stuff. No, that's great. I mean, yeah, I just like I said, even though I'm trying to think. Like I said, I don't know if we had like a lot of super conversations back then. I don't know if it
No,
was more like
I don't think
yeah.
so. I don't remember
I
like
was
really
young.
having hearts to hearts back then. Especially
Yeah.
now that I realize I was involved in so many things. I know I was always bouncing around and doing a lot, like, trying to get everything done and getting late to
Mhm.
class, and then so I know I never really, like, we never I don't think I knew you that well then.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But I know you had one of your questions. I know we haven't gone into yet. But you asked if I knew about your YouTube videos. Then I learned about your
Yeah.
YouTube videos in your throwbacks. Like every time you did a TBT or you're like any through,
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, this is why. I mean, I might have seen a camera in your hand and some, but I had no idea what you were doing at that
Yeah.
time. And I didn't know I was going to be behind or in front of cameras after then either. That was not my major. So
Yeah.
yeah, so no, it wasn't until after I saw you publish and I saw Chris and all these people that I remember from high school in your videos, and then I was like, "Oh, you were a filmmaker. You're a
Yeah,
filmmaker."
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that you told me, because so I realized, so I thought you told since you told me you left 2007. Actually, it
Mhm.
makes sense why you weren't in any videos is because I didn't get my camera till 2008.
Okay,
So
there you
like
go.
I
That makes
yeah,
sense.
so because I realized I'm like, huh, I probably would have, you know, put put you in a video if you. Well, did you think like so back then? Okay, you doing the gymnastics, you're doing all this stuff, but like say I asked you, hey, do you want to be in a video? How would you, especially back then,
You're probably
in that
laughing.
mindset?
Back then, I wasn't as honed into filmmaking as I am now. Like it wasn't like
Yeah,
back then I knew I wanted to be a stunt performer, stunt actress, or an actress
yeah,
in general. Absolutely not. So I would have probably blushed at that time and just laughed. I wouldn't know unless it was like you came in with a structured thing. I would have tried it out for fun.
yeah,
Absolutely. Again, I didn't know you did any of these until I saw some of these throwback videos years later, and I was just like,
yeah,
"Oh, look, there goes." And these were some of our peers that we went to school with together, and I saw what you were doing then. But no, I had no idea. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that
But
makes sense.
no,
See,
but
look at that.
definitely now, absolutely. It's like you come to me in a
Yeah,
structure, and a story, and something to come to life. I'm always about the creative. That'd be
yeah,
so. That'd be wonderful. But no, I didn't. I didn't know.
yeah. That make no. I'd definitely be down. Of course, when the time is right. But yeah, so that makes sense because I was trying to figure out. I'm like, and then I realized, like I said, not having the camera, and then of course, you left. Well, you graduated. Um, But then, okay, so then I was still following you because I like seeing your post, especially in college because I did see. So college, you were also I did see a bunch of videos of you performing. I think right. Can we
Yeah.
do you mind jumping into that?
So when I got to college, the group there was so black between the Black Student Union and just regular leadership organization in general. It was like the
Yeah,
Alana organization. They threw an annual Alana like a show, a fundraiser kind of thing. And that was like the talent variety show. So I used to put
yeah,
routines together for that, especially after the one I did in high school was a hit, and I realized, well, then I guess I can put a floor routine or two together for this, and I did that maybe twice, 2, 3
hmm
times, throughout college, with them. So that was really good. But it was only because I did it in high school and I realized it was a success when I brought it to college, it was a success too. So I was just like, oh, this was great. And I don't know what made me think of it when I was when we were in Dewey together, but I'm glad I did.
hmm
It kind of just opened up that wormhole and growth and the
yeah.
position
And
in the real world.
what happened? Sorry, what was the last thing?
No, it was just like it was a good transition into trying my talents and skills and showing it in like the real world, which to me the real
hmm
world was like my actual like school life and that kind of thing, and not like in a gym rolling around and like the rugrat kind of
Yeah, yeah. Like it's fun to showcase
yeah.
stuff to people who be like, oh, you were because also a few like friends on Facebook be like, oh, you've done filmmaking. Like yes, for I've been uploading for 13 years, and they just found out like months ago, and
Right.
I'm like, all right, Facebook needs a but so you said you were marine biology, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that was definitely I got that from back with Mr. Rosen and John Dewey. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when I went to college, that was my major was marine biology. My first year, going to the next year though, they cut the program and they cut their
Oh,
zoology program. Something happened. I don't know if the funding wasn't there, so now I was stuck with all these biology credits. And my transition into it would have required another 2 years, so I couldn't finish. So the biology credits that I utilized that they said that I couldn't. I had like maybe two options. Like either I was
yeah.
chemist of some sort, which I know I didn't want to, and
Mhm.
I could put it into biopsychology degree. So I ended up graduating with a biopsychology degree instead of
Oh,
a
nice.
actual marine biology degree. But I definitely, when at that time, my mindset was, I'm going to be a marine biologist when I grow up. And
Yeah.
really, I'm not a marine biologist now, but I still
Yeah.
very much enjoy aquatic life in that sense. Yeah.
And what was it? Wait, what was the degree name? I was trying to.
Biopsychology, psychology, yeah,
Bi-
but more from a cognitive sense, yeah. But
oh, okay.
I transferred into that, but I knew I didn't. Also, I knew I didn't want to become a psychiatrist or a psychologist
Okay.
at that time. Like, it was really, it was really buying my freedom from my parents. Like, I had to. It was
Yeah.
required that I had to do my bachelor's, and my
Yeah.
mom graduated. Her first degree was in psychology. She's a doctor now, but
Oh,
her
nice.
degree was in psychology, and I did. So I did that, and I just knew that I couldn't spend day in, day out. Just only thing I'm doing is listening to other people's problems in and out. As much as I want to help people, I know I couldn't spend my life doing it because then I'm really
Mhm.
empathetic, and then I tend to take things on my own that I felt like I would be losing it. And then meeting a lot of the psychology department throughout in school,
Yeah.
and they all were a little like, and no offense, like they were great people, but they were all little cuckoo for coconuts. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't
Yeah.
know after a
I've,
while or
yeah.
what. I could not see myself doing that. So I got it. So I had the degree, but I did not utilize it at all as a psychologist or psychiatrist. But I did learn a bunch of social skills in college, and things that I
Mhm.
needed, for sure. And it was a good thing that I went because I am technically, like, I'm the only child from my parents together, and after my sister went away to the military and stuff, I was by myself. So I was like the only child syndrome kind of thing. So college
Yeah.
taught me a lot of social skills, especially in the dorming. And then after that, I moved off campus and I had housemates, and so I'm glad I did, and I learned a lot more from that. They do say college is just an expensive social life, but I learned more from that and utilize that more in my life now than I do my actual paper degree.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, sort of. Even though yes, I went for film and video, and I'm still involved in a way, very independent. But yeah, very. Yeah, sometimes it is like it's
And what
like
I
these
do
big.
now went for filmmaking too. I would have absolutely made, or at least had a minor in theater of some sort. I would have
Yeah.
absolutely done that. But that was kind of more of a joke for my parents. And as much as I found, and it was a fun thing every time I tried it out. Even in high school, was it Caprera? I can't remember his name, but I remember playing in one of his plays as Lady in the Red Dress. I remember doing that in high
Oh. Hmm.
school. And I was part of it. And then when I went to college, it was just like I remember saying that I wanted to do it, and I don't think my parents kind of understood that at the time. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna go to Hollywood? What?" Like, I'm like, "That
Yeah. Yeah.
was just, I just wanted to take acting classes and what it was for." And then by
Yeah.
the end of college, the last semester, I actually took electives because I needed electives still, and I took it in storytelling, improv.
Oh, nice.
I did some theater classes at the end there, and I loved it. I loved it so much, and I was just like, "Oh, why didn't I just do this throughout?" And but if I knew then
Yeah.
what I do now, right? That's what everybody says. It's done, but I
I know.
definitely would have went for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's definitely great that obviously you're involved now, but yeah, I'm in the same mindset of like I said, I'm like I wish I would have had a camera earlier. I wish I would have taken the acting classes earlier. But I think everything happens for a reason, and so like I'm glad like we're at obviously this point. Um, but then I wanted to ask, so okay, you're out of college now. You didn't jump into any job related to your field, right? Is that correct? You did. So
I
would
did.
you? How
When I
was
got
it? For,
back,
well, what?
I had a full-time job waiting for me. It was my coaching. Coaching, I always fell back on. From the time I stopped competitive gymnastics, I jumped right
Yeah.
into every time I was even home in the winter and the summers from college, I was coaching straight
Oh,
through.
nice.
Team, I was coaching recreation. And when I graduated, I was getting into, they had a full time job waiting there. I came home with the car, everything. This was 2012.
Yeah,
And then September of 2012 came, and that's when Storm Sandy came. And
I
Storm
remember that. Yep.
everything all at the same time. This is my home gym that I grew up in, was rolled around in on my competitive team, everything underwater, my car, everything. So I lost
Oh
everything
wow, Jesus.
of September, and then by 2013, the next year, my sister was going back to Texas, was moving to Texas. So I moved to Texas with my sister. She was having a baby and stuff. So I was in Texas for a few years. We were going to open a gym there. That didn't end up, that fell through. I'm not even going to get into
Wow.
that long story. But so I did not open my own gym there. And eventually, there, I think I discovered, I don't remember exactly how this pinned. I know people and I hear stories from different people, even from my housemates, because I
Yeah.
just ran into my old housemate last week, and she told me, she was like, "Oh, like I'm doing this degree, and I used to just dance around the house, like I just want to act and do all these things, and for television." I don't remember like because I used
Yeah.
to shut
Yeah.
down thinking it was not a realistic dream, and then I learned of this boot camp, this stunt boot camp, and
Hmm.
I started looking more into it. And as I did more and more research, I became more and more infatuated with it. And I was like, I got to get back to New York. I'm gonna give this a second try now. Let me go see if I can. And when I got back to New York was only so I can start like again. I was gonna be coaching because coaching, and luckily I can always fall back into. I could go anywhere
Yeah.
with coaching, and so I look for the top gym so I can get a higher pay, the highest pay I could possibly. And I figured if I was with them and I was show them how reliable I was for 6 months, then I can get some time off to fly out to this boot camp that was happening in Georgia. It was a LA stunt base camp, boot camp,
Yeah.
but
What year was this? Sorry. What year was this again?
this was now 2015. So when I flew out to,
Okay.
it was 2016 because I started the
Okay.
job coaching in 2015. 2016 now, I went to, I flew out to Georgia to do the LA Stunts boot camp. Always check it out. I love them. They're the greatest. And I learned so much from them. But for the first time, for the first time of doing something, like waking up, having to wake up early from the hotel room and then roll out to do this boot camp every morning from 6 a.m. I was excited. Waking
Yeah.
up, I'm excited about what I'm about to do today. I mean, I remember after the whole first day of what we did, and then I was like, I had never felt so passionate about something until I dove into this, and then I knew then that that is what I wanted to do. And it was so
Yeah.
late because now we're talking about 2015. I was already 20. I was 25. I was 25 that year. By the time I did, and I knew this
Yeah.
one, I would be 25 by the end of that year. And now I discovered what it is that I want. Had no idea how to pursue this further than this boot camp. I saved up for this boot for over 6 months. Like
Hmm.
everything, every little savings, I threw it into going there for the week and a half. And best decision ever. Because then I finally realized that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna really take a whack at it. Like the more you looked into it, I looked at the entertainment industry, and I started to like, yeah, of
Hmm.
course these are not the people doing like all these extreme things. Of course these are not, but those are always the most fascinating part of looking at a film and looking like I used to rush home to watch Xena Warrior Princess or like Hercules.
Yeah. It's a great show. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, in my mind as a kid, I'm like, they're doing this. This is them. I look back at these shows now and you can literally see and I'm breaking it down in my head, like
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I became so, like, I just never felt so passionate about it. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I knew I couldn't push papers. I couldn't be at a 9 to 5 desk job. That was not me. That would have killed me slowly and I would have been miserable.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do this, and everybody's always like, live your life to your fullest and do what makes you happy for the first time. And that was a feeling that I still have not yet let go of, and I'm still on a
Yeah.
mission, to because I feel like like I said, I'm so late to the game,
Hmm.
but and so that's why I'm in such a. I gotta fast forward. It's a marathon though, as they constantly try to remind me, and not a sprint. But now
Yeah.
that I found it, I just want to be in it to win it. Where I
Yeah.
want to make up for
And
that lost time, I suppose.
I know I'm in the like I said, I keep bringing it back to whatever. Like I started because there are and there's a lot of similar stories like this with I think everybody where whether it is if something is denied, even if it's not intentional by a family member or friend or whatever, even if it's just you don't grasp the concept early enough, sometimes that just happens. But then once you do dive into it, it is like full steam ahead. Like when I discovered how to be an extra on TV, I would always because like
Absolutely.
I knew it wasn't gonna get me lines or anything like that, obviously. But I was like, even though I'm like retired from extra work, but I used to love like doing it, especially at the beginning. I was like, oh my god, I'm on set and I get to look and and I'm like, and you get to see how the sets work. Even though I went to film school, you get to see how the big sets work. And then even seeing yourself on TV is great. I mean, after a while being an extra, I'm like, okay, cool. That's why I retired. Um, but even yeah, even then, like it's like I also felt like I had to make up because I wanted to be in like the Avengers as an extra, but I was in college,
Yeah.
and so I was like, just make me an extra first. Now, like I said, I want lines, but like once it clicked, then I was doing extra work for a while.
Right.
So
No,
like
that's exactly. I did the same route. It was the same
yeah,
route. And I was like, so how do I do this? And I started looking into things. I needed to learn sets now, and I needed to get that kind of experience where I can see what goes on the other side. So I went
yeah,
to Central Casting, I believe, and
nice.
that's when I started looking through those listings, and those calls came in. So I did extra work, a lot of background work, a lot of background work,
Oh wow,
trying to learn the sets from that side because I was like, there's no other way. How am I going to learn a set? I couldn't because technically the only gap that I missed when I left college before going to Texas, I also tried for NYFA. I got accepted into NYFA. Then I realized
what's that again? Sorry.
NYFA, the New York Film Academy.
Oh,
I applied.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
And then
sorry. Yeah, yeah.
and then um and then I got accepted into their acting program. But then when we were starting, I was 2 weeks out from starting, all my student loans for my bachelor started kicking in, and then I couldn't get
Oh
the grant
wow.
I wanted for the NYFA program, and then I couldn't
Yeah.
afford to go, so I ended up not going. So then I left for Texas, there
Oh.
to help my sister, and I was like, I'll open a gym, and then I'll come back on that. But it ended up taking me a whole different route. So I came back now, and when I did that, I was like, how can I like learn sets? So when I learned about central casting, I ended up doing that, and I did background work, even on Orange is the New Black and all that. I did, I mean,
Oh
all
nice.
day just on set, watching these people set up and call, watching the different hierarchies, watching everybody's job from the PAs to Wes's
Mm.
background to ADs and second ADs and like the main actors and how they come in, especially when you do get to see them, because sometimes you could be there all day and not see anything, like
Yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah.
so many things because you're learning. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how I started trying because I wanted to get. I heard about now I needed to get into this union and to be a stunt performer you are required. Like sometimes you can do the non-union acting work, but as a stunt
Mhm.
actress you have to be in the union to get stunt jobs. So
Yeah. SAG. Yeah.
I learned the different ways that you could be. Like they told me in the boot camp, the different ways. So that, and I was like, maybe if I do this background enough, like I'll land a role, like a featured role, they'll give me a waiver. And
Yeah.
my mission was to get 3 waivers so I can become eligible. So the next set of savings, I was throwing all my money every time I did all these work, all that background work. Every time I got a check from that, I put it away and put it away. So just in case I do get the 3 features, now I already have all the money saved up for the union. So
Yeah.
I was going, and then the summer of 2017 came up, and there was a job that kept like picking at me, like it kept poking at me, and I said no because sometimes they'll ask you to do certain background, and I was saying no, and I was looking at certain features go out. So like when like you would get the feature if you had to do a naked role, you had to do something
Oh yeah,
inappropriate
yeah, 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 yeah.
singer role, and I didn't want to do any of that or get in that way. So I said no to a lot of those, but there was this one in an Adam Sandler movie that wanted me to wear a bikini and flip around, and I said no because again I had to take my clothes off in what it felt. So I said no, and then a lady that I met on Orange Is the New Black, an elder lady, Yvette, she was great because she used to help me
Hmm.
burn a lot of time as we sat there all day. And she used to tell me
Yeah.
like a lot of stories of background and how you could do all these things, and she calls me like next week or the week after, and she's like, "You should check out this role. I see it on the listing. They're looking for a gymnast. They just need one gymnast. You should apply." And I was like, "Yeah, I saw it. I don't think so." Blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
Another month goes by down of it, like believe it or not, and it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say like they're already wrapped. They're already going to film this. Apparently, they posted this like 2 months prior to actually needing they're filming. I get a phone call from the production. It was like a second AD it was the movie the week of production
Oh
who
yeah, yeah, yeah.
now herself like, hey, like, it really, she explains the role, and I explained that I had heard of it and that I didn't want to, end up taking it. She's like, oh, I completely understand. I'm glad it was a female. She's like, you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. We do have other exotic dancers who were real exotic dancers, like in their real life, like coming in, and they'll do like, oh, we just need one that is like flipping because we're going to bounce. All these things started lining up because bounce I used to go to as a kid for fun. It's a trampoline house thing. Like it's a
Okay.
place full of trampolines, a big pit, just all these things where we used to just go and have fun flipping around. So I'm like, I've been there
Yeah.
before, and this is where they're filming. She's like, it's 2 days, and it's just like and it'd be a featured role. Because mind you, you can either do that or you can be Taft Hartley, with that one in a million kind of thing, straight as jobs. But that never happens because they have to pay a fine. So she was like, "It's 2 days. You do what you feel comfortable. Go to fitting, see if you can fit anything, and talk to wardrobe, see if there's any way that you can get everything fitted to you." So I went to
Mm.
the fitting. I said, "Okay, I'll try it out," because it is 2 days. So that you were talking about two waivers now, 2 out of 3. I'm like,
Oh,
and I
wow. That's
done
great.
already a year, almost a year already of doing background work when I could. Definitely like that. It was leading up to that was 6 months straight, but I was on and off for a year in background work. So I was like, I'm gonna go in for these 2 days and I'll do 2 out of 3 there. So I went for the fitting, and then they were so helpful, and they made me feel comfortable. They gave me like these boy shorts kind of bikini, and they raised her back the back because I couldn't do a regular one because if I'm twirling in the air, you don't want anything moving
Oh,
around.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wrapped me in nicely into my bikini, and so I went for my featured role. And I'm like talking about things lining up. I worked.
Mhm.
It was 2 days, and they were 17-hour days. I mean, we worked from
Wow.
morning to night. And I went in and I signed the papers like you regularly do as your background, and I signed all the contracts and everything just like everyone else, except mine was being paid. I think like double what everybody else was being paid because
Yeah.
they needed that role. But then 8 o'clock that first night, this was a Thursday and a Friday, and I remember it so vividly because it's still people still kind of ask me about it. It was one of those rare things. 8 o'clock that night, this PA comes to me and she just gives me her phone. She's like, "You need to put your name, your social security, and your address, and press send when you're done." I'm like, I did all of this, and I'm still kind of wary about it because it's just like the amount of times you have to give out your social security and
I
answer.
know. It's always like, yeah.
Yeah, so she was just like, "Eh," and press send. I'm like, "Who am I sending?" She's like, "I don't know. They just told me to do it, but you need to." And I know how much stress that PAs are usually under. Again, watching them
Yeah.
for the last year on set, so she looked like she was sweating, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, maybe they lost my paperwork or something." I don't know that, so I press send. Another hour later, I was being ushered into a room. It was with Adam Sandler, Alan Covert, a guy named Carlton Stokes, who was the SAG
Yeah.
representative on set. Like usually, a SAG representative will come, make sure everything's going okay. Apparently, he was watching me from the time he had came in. It was this big, like almost 7 foot tall, brawly dude. Like that was just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
watching. I guess the front every time they cut, and the action cut, and all the flipping and everything. And I'd stop and these girls were just, I mean, they were jumping up and down too, but it was just like I was putting in that work. And every time I stopped, I was just so quiet. They would still be talking and they constantly have to quiet them down. But I just
Oh,
remember
yeah.
camp. I'm like, I'm going to remember everything they told me. And it was just long story short, because I'm already rambling, I feel.
No, it's okay. I like listening.
I got into this room and it was Adam, it was Alan, it was Carlton, myself, and like, I don't know, a PA or someone. But anyway, they sat me down to explain to me. They're like, what stunts were. They're about to take their time to explain what stunts and how now that they have to change my contract. Not change. They said in addition to your regular contract because we can no longer change it. Offer me the stunt contract for the day, and then when I come in tomorrow, this is going to be your stunt contract. So they were explaining the Taft Hartley. So they're like, we have to Taft
Okay.
Hartley, and so they're taking it upon themselves to now send me straight through. So it wasn't going to be 3 waivers I needed anymore because as of that moment when I sent in all that, I was now being ushered into the union. So when I came back the next day, I was working as a union member, and everything was changed. So I got the original contract of which they offered. Then I got the Taft Hartley contract, the union contract, and then the second day union contract. I mean, it was two 17-hour days, but I'd still say it was one of my
Wow.
most like,
Jesus.
paychecks and everything. And they paid the fine and everything, but they sat me down to explain stunts, and I played them like, okay, please explain. Like
Yeah.
everywhere, I didn't want to be like, that was what I've been waiting for. I'm working my way into the union so I can do stunts. I was just so flabbergasted that this was
Yeah.
actually happening, that it was amazing. It was like, talk about something like I turned it down. Somebody else called me, they turned it, like, and I still turned it, and then they called me, and I was like, I don't know. And then I get there, and it's just like, no, like, I don't have to worry about 3 waivers now. Now it's just like, all right, welcome to the union. And I already
Wow.
had saved all the money now that I was putting back from all that background work. So I mean, within that next week, I sent in all the money with all the eligibility, everything right away. So within 2 weeks, I'm in the UNOS full, and it was good because then I started putting myself up in the directories. Because 2, 3 weeks later, they're flying me out to New Mexico. Somebody else, Kathy
Wow.
Jarvis. for Tremors, and everything just started back to back. The next job was the Black Klansman, and none of this would have happened if
Yeah.
I wasn't already in the union. So it was amazing. So that's why I was just like, when things line up and you're supposed to be going in a certain route and everything happens and when it's supposed to, just like you were saying earlier, like it
Hmm.
happens when it's supposed to happen, like as much as we
Yeah.
feel like we're we're late, but everything happens in its time. It gave me that time to learn sets and learn the hierarchy and start from that, doing background work and working my way up into the different levels, because now this next year when they're hiring me for Orange is the New Black and I'm coming in as a role and as an actual prisoner that is fighting and doing all these things, and C Block, the difference, there's two sides of the studio apparently in Kaufman. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've seen, I lived in the other
Oh,
side with all the background, like how you were treated there to the other side of Kaufman now, of just like being, everything was just laid out. My clothes, it wasn't like I was rummaging through things. Everything was just, and it was like just working your way up in that time. So like it took
yeah.
me time to, like, it's like I was going through a class and you're taking all the classes and you're going through all the quizzes and you get to that finale of now you got to pass this grade or pass the test, and you pass and now you get to level to the next level. So but there's
Yeah.
still more. I'm still looking to achieve more from there. But that is the story. I feel like this question went on for longer just because
Oh
I
no, it's fine.
told you this aspect of it, but I know that I also did background. I definitely did for a while, so I can learn sets and just learn
Yeah.
how it kind of worked on the inside. That's the best way. I usually tell a lot of people to start. You learn there, you go
Mhm.
it, because then you get to understand what the rules are the rough way. It's like jumping into the deep end, kind of go.
Yeah. 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 Well, because I was gonna say, like as as we know, I've done a lot of background in the day, and I even did a whole solo show called World's Greatest Film Extra, where it was like a comedic
Oh, yeah. I think I
uh,
remember you
show.
posting something about this, and then you had a
Yeah.
bunch. They were everywhere. Like I saw you like in the
Yeah.
back
For
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and so it is a good, like, even though yes, I went to film school, I wanted to switch more to the the acting and improv, of course, as I gradually did. But definitely you're right. Like doing the extra work is because sometimes I mean I don't know if you ever got treated like that, but there were some film shoots where it was like you know you're at the definitely at the bottom of the totem pole if you did like a little small you know thing, and some small film shoots were great. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's definitely important, and just also like just be there to sit and learn, and it's great to talk. Like I always joke around when I did World's Greatest Film Extra, the show was like it was a heightened version of me. Like, what if I was like one of those extras on set who had like an ego, they are whatever it is, like not listening or not talk, always talking in between takes.
Yeah,
And I like talking too, but I'm like if they say be quiet, I'm like I'd rather just
right,
but
right.
even like watching how everything is done, but I'm like like you can't like when they get featured, it's like, oh, it goes to their head. Like I've been featured on TV, I'm just doesn't but yeah, it's I think that's a great like a positive message. So like you sit there, you watch, you learn as much as you can, and then when you do feel like it is the time to jump in or hit the gears and give it 110% like you did, you
Mhm.
do, and then that does get noticed. Whether
Yeah.
it is on screen or it is by, as you said, Adam Sandler and the other producers.
Oh,
So that's amazing.
yeah. No,
You
yeah,
know.
it was, and then it came in with the time. I suppose it was, so it gave me a good time to learn the background, meet people like this, and see, meet the other people that were also in background. And just like you said,
Yeah.
you run into those people where it goes to their head and they just kind of lose it back there and they're bitter. And then it's just a lot of like arguments always breaking down out there. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of see a lot of that. I saw a lot of
Yeah.
that at that time.
And that's in well, yeah, it's definitely good because, like I said, I just got tired of like some of the. I'm like, all right, come on, we're here to work. But
Mhm.
like I said, back to what you were doing. Like, and I remember even in between all these years of like us not, going to or you come before you came to my shows or before I was doing shows. I remember we were at the SO dinner, and I think we talked a little bit years ago. But in between that, uh, like I said, there was a lot. I was always like support because I did start to see your. I mean, I always liked your posts, whether it was the thing in college, and I was like, oh, that's cool, that's great, because you are performing, and I was like, that's great. You got to keep on performing. Like I put my fist up and thumbs up. But then I do start to see you do the stunts, whether it is like falling off the thing in Georgia. The
Yeah.
what's the name of that rig you
High
fall off?
like doing high falls. High
High
falls,
falls.
that's what we would call it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a good
see,
practice for you to like jump off a building or out of a window or, something
yeah,
higher, yeah, or off a balcony.
it was. Oh, will I sneeze? Let's see. Hold on.
What?
Okay, I think I might see. All right, we'll see. Anyway, yeah. So it was. Oh, let me know. You're still good on time, right? We can still go till like 5:30, or you need to take a. All right,
Mhm.
cool. Let me know. Yeah. So like I said, seeing that was also cool. Is because like as someone who is involved in the film industry, and I love seeing friends get involved in film, whether it is like acting or directing or even being extra. I'm like at the start, people may crap on it, but at the start. But
It takes
also I
a village. Everybody's important.
yeah.
This comes to
It,
life. You ever seen a movie without background? It's a weird movie.
You could watch some of my films from Dewey. It's just well, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, you're right. It is important, and like you have to, like I said, I think you have to bring your A game, you know, every time, and that's what you did as extra. That's what I did as well, and along with other stuff we've done. Um, but I remember, I think before you were getting involved in stunts, there was another man, and you know him, Mr. Ferretti.
Mr.
Um,
Free.
he was, yeah, he was he's a great guy. One of my favorite teachers from Dewey. But I saw him. I guess it was a little before you were starting to get involved. I think because I remember like he was on. I think like a bunch of shows. I think where he was like a big assassin or Boardwalk Empire.
Right.
Um, now you two actually worked together, right? Is that correct? I think I saw a photo of you two together. What
Yeah,
was that on?
told me about Anthony Freddy. They told me about it before, and I don't even think I could have remembered him without seeing him. So I
Yeah.
didn't even think twice about it. Yeah, and it wasn't until we ran square into each other. I think we worked together twice already, I
Oh
believe.
wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was great. I mean, and he looks the same. Like and then when I saw him, I realized who is what. And man, this guy not aged. Like he looks
I
identical
know.
as to when he was in high school as our teacher. Like he
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
badass. I don't know if it's like he always wore sleeves, but he has these tattoos that come all the way down to his wrist. I remember him as
Oh
a
wow.
with like full on sleeves of tattoos. But yeah, I was just like, whoa, like so, like I didn't, but I
Alright.
knew his face. It was identically, it was the same face. I was like, do you
Yeah.
you turn into a vampire at some point?
Yeah.
At least show,
Yeah.
please give me that formula.
Yeah. There we
Yeah.
go. I just said um yeah,
Mhm.
no, I remember so did like was there a person who was like your go-to for advice, or was it just like I mean, I'm sure, as filmmakers, we have there's a lot of people I go to for advice. But
Yeah.
say is there one person that you do look up to in the stunts that you can go to, and that's like your stunt
Oh,
I don't know
oh.
how, stunt icon that gives you the best advice, or is there one or two people?
No, I mean, it would be multiple people. It depends on what it is
Yeah,
that you're looking for. When it comes to advice, it depends on people's specialties, and just like you're
yeah.
talking about the high falls and all that. Like I'd even go back to the first people who put me on in Georgia, Shelby Swatek and
Oh
Michael
nice.
Long. They
Yeah.
I remember calling them once or twice, especially when I'm doing high falls and trying to set up a box rig. That when I wanted to get involved in doing the box, that I remember the ratio and the formula as to for every 10 feet, how many layers of boxes you need. So I called them for advice if I needed to, if I second
Yeah.
guess anything. And they left that open for me, which I love too. That they were just like, if you ever need any advice or you need anything or you want to double, just give us a call and don't hesitate. And then as I got into the industry, when I did the Black Klansman, I was taken under the wing of Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward was everything what Wesley Snipes did, pretty much was Jeff Ward. Like Jeff Ward was his
Yeah.
double, and like all that choreography in Blade 1, 2, 3, that was Jeff Ward. So
Oh
like,
wow, that's a great film as well.
yeah,
So
I mean, love,
yeah.
love, love Blade.
Yeah.
So he was the coordinator on Black Klansman because he does a lot of the Spike Lee films. Spike
Okay.
Lee is also Dewey graduate too, which is
Yeah,
fun.
I gave him a fist pound once, real quick. He was he was coming out of the Anthony Ramos YouTube thing,
Okay,
and I
okay.
gave him a fist pound. I know Anthony Ramos as well, but anyway, yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, no, boom. So so
Yeah.
that's how I got taken on his wing. So he took me on as a mentor. He called me after we had wrapped and was just like, if I ever need it, I have any questions, anything, give him a call. So then I have him to go to. Then the person that used to work with him constantly is David Lomax, who is now my shifu. Like, so anytime I do any dojo training in martial arts, any
Oh,
weaponry,
nice.
I train under David Lomax, who's also been around for a long time. I love going to the vets of the industry. Like the older they are, the better. Like they have the best advice. They have the greatest stories, and
Yeah.
they're very understanding in that sense. I mean, I haven't run into any that have not been just helpful, even if they're not even talking about it. Jerry Hewitt, as always, but he will go on. Jerry Hewitt is The Warriors. Remember the movie The Warriors? Come
Yeah, I
out,
love that film.
that was Jerry Hewitt, and he
Oh
can
wow.
stories for. He could keep going, and you would be so fascinated. And he has a hot air balloon that he'll just go and take right. You know how people will take their boat and just go out on a boating trip. He takes his hot air balloon and goes off on
Wow.
trips, and it's just like, so yeah,
Wow.
these people I can listen to forever. And now I work with Roberto Lopez currently, and
Okay.
my team is with Stuntworks, and again, he's another like club of like vet of the industry, and he came in a whole different route than these other guys, which was a little more difficult. And he also has very fascinating stories and advice, and that's where I learned most of my rigging and wire work and all those things from. Anytime I get like nervous, I could call him, and he'll
Hmm.
calm me down.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned all that great stuff, and it's always like, when people do watch a show or watch an improv show with me, and a lot of people who aren't involved in the industry have come up to me, man, how'd you do that? Man, you made it look easy, and I'm like, it's years of work. You know what I mean? And exactly the same thing with any position in the film industry, whether you are a PA, and whether you are a director, especially also with the stunts. Like I've taken stage combat classes, and I've done a few stage combat with the swords. I haven't done anything like you've done, getting thrown through all that stuff. But like you said, it takes a village. Like what do you bring? So just tell me, I guess, what are some of your favorite aspects? Whether it is like I've seen you on wires, I've seen you thrown through glass, I've seen you
I mean,
punched in the
I
face.
so
Like favorite. Yeah. Sorry.
I
What?
don't know if I have a favorite. I love it all. They're all so, I mean,
Yeah.
everything's so different. You remember when I said I love gymnastics because every time we do something, there was always
Hmm.
something new to do. There was always like
Yeah.
something like more challenging, or even if it's less challenging, they were always just so different. And I love doing the
Yeah.
different projects and not sticking to a routine because I can't, the whole routine, like I said, the 9 to 5 jazz job wouldn't work. So whether it is I'm
Yeah.
jumping off of a building, or we're setting someone on fire, or we're fighting, or Anthony Ferretti is like the prison guard that's pulling me off of some other girl because I'm a convict, and like we're fighting
Yeah.
and like ripping me through the air. And yeah, but that was the last time I worked with him was New Amsterdam. Whether it's something as
Yeah.
simple as that, like it's just those. I find all of them to be my favorite because it's just they're all so different and unique to themselves and the story of which you're trying to portray. And that's why it's like you can't really ever get tired of it because
Yeah.
it's also
Well, oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
no, you just can't get tired of it because it's all so unique.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's another reason why we're drawn to this industry. Whatever aspect we like, it's because we want to keep performing. But so is there something like you say, nope, I would never do as a stunt? Is there anything in that?
Or if I'm not capable of doing it, like if I know, like they ask me to do something that I know that I don't know how to do, or if you don't even know feel comfortable, because when it comes to your stunt team and the stunt people you're working with that day, you want to be comfortable with them, especially if it's something
Yeah.
they have to you need spotters and you need somebody to look out for you when it comes to like if you're falling to an airbag, you want to know that they can ride that bag out just in case something is off and you're not making it for whatever reason, although you're supposed to be trained to hit the center no matter what. Things tend to
Yeah.
happen, you know whether you're working with the fire team, knowing that they know their chemicals and how to mix it so you're not actually getting burned for real.
I know. Yeah.
like just things that I you just always, and that's the advice that I just recently gave out on a different article, that a feature that I was published on, that you just never agree
Oh,
to anything
congrats.
you don't feel 1,000% comfortable doing, because they will level it up from there. So if you're only a little bit comfortable and then they tell you to increase your speed by 10 miles an hour, and you weren't even comfortable in the first place, imagine
Yeah,
that would go. So yeah, there are certain things
and
I wouldn't do high falls that are like I don't think I would do a high fall over 35, 40 feet. Like if they're
oh
like
wow, Jesus.
high fall 60 feet, like from the sixth floor, I'd have to say no, because I know that I'm only trained to go up to the fourth, 40 feet, so I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
go past it, things like that. Underwater stuff, I'm still waiting. I'm hoping by next month, I'm sorry, in December, hopefully I can take a quick trip out to Tulum. I'd love to get my PADI certification, my PADI certification, which is underwater scuba diving, because
Oh,
that
nice.
would really come in handy. And I had a job that came up for it last year, and I had to be honest with the coordinator that I didn't get it, and it was very upsetting because earlier that year I was on a cruise ship that offered this certification. And I figured if I was going to do this reunion with my family and be stuck in this prison on the water for a week without any service and off the grid, that I couldn't
Yeah.
do the PADI certification. But apparently, you were supposed to start it the day before arriving to the ship. So when I got there and I
Oh.
was trying to sign up, they were like, "Yeah, no, it's close," and I cried a little. I'll be honest,
Aw.
because I'm like, now this is going to be a waste of time. And then, of course, the job turned up. Doug Coleman called me last year to fly out to Germany to work with Michael B. Jordan and to be in
Oh,
Germany
wow.
until this year. And I couldn't do it because, I mean, they gave me
Oh.
the job, and he said, "I'll train you up really quick when you get there." And then I was supposed to be flying out to Germany 48 hours prior to my flight. He calls me back. The actress showed up, and she's requesting her own doubles that she's worked with before. And he didn't even know who she was. And he said, and he apologized to himself, like saying that he was sorry. But I'm pretty sure if that girl did not have a PADI certification, that I would have still done
Oh, yeah.
it. And it was just, I just
Aw.
had my arsenal. And uh,
Yeah.
meh, it's okay, but
I
everything
know.
for a reason, right? Yeah. So next month I'm still looking to up my skill arsenal. So hopefully by December I will have that certification under my belt as well.
Yeah.
We could do underwater
Well,
stunts now.
that'd be awesome to see. And I brought it up because I guess I thought of like what happened on Deadpool. Not to be a downer, but yeah. So that's why, like and that's why I always like preach like learn the skill and then do it. But especially with stunts, because if it's like, oh, can you do a monologue? Maybe I'm not the most comfortable, but it's very different. And that even like I've done, like I said, even though I haven't done half the stage combat you've done, but you need to learn how to fall properly. You need to, and so especially with that, like that, like I said, not to dwell on it, but like when I heard about what happened on Deadpool and like the person wasn't comfortable. So that's why I'm always like worried for my stunt friends.
Yeah,
But I know,
thing.
yeah,
Anytime you read those articles, Donovan, like from here on, and whoever's listening, you just take it with a grain of salt. It's like listening to the news
okay,
these days, and as much as they'll
yeah,
say, "Oh, the person isn't prepared," or the person wasn't right, or they're not. That's why when I started this, I said you always have to make sure you're also comfortable with your stunt team and the coordinator, although
oh
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
and that they know what they're asking you for. Because this girl was a professional racer. She was a professional motorbike.
Oh, oops. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Yeah.
So like that's why, and the same with the I forget what production that was, but there was a guy doing a high fall off of a balcony. Probably shouldn't be saying any of these names. I'm not too sure how that would go across,
We
but
could.
they were saying that he didn't know how to high fall when he's been high falling for just so long. Like he was well trained in it, and his head hit the gate in the back, and
Oh, jeez.
passed. So these things happen. Like these things happen, and it's not. And then they'll be published in the news as these people weren't comfortable, or this is why, and they brush it under it. But no,
Oh,
it's not. That's not really. This is why, again, when we started this whole segment here, I was like, just make sure you want to be comfortable and know that your coordinator too. Not that you have that choice sometimes, because you'll get flown, and I have to meet new coordinators, which is a new boss each time, and then
yeah,
you just make sure that they know what they're talking about and they feel 100% certain about it. So you're not taking these chances, and they're just doing it
yeah,
'cause where they're strict on time or we have to rush through it. So I've worked with such great grand coordinators that make me feel so like I feel like I could just go through this with my eyes closed and not have to think about it because they've done and put in all that work and safety and double checked. You have those coordinators that make you feel super safe, but then you'll have the coordinators that are just like, this is what you're paying me for. That's what I brought you. Go, boom, and then they're just
Yeah.
like, they're under the pressure of the director, who's under the
Ah.
pressure of the producers, who's just so that could be dangerous. So this could be very
Yeah.
dangerous depending on, if they're rushing you through it, if they're doing so. No, again, take it with a
Yeah.
grain of salt when you hear these things. You got to really, from the inside, like, and you could do more digging on it. But she was very, very
Yeah.
well prepared for that. It was just everything was slick. And I mean, the details on it. But she got it in the first four takes. If they tell you the first four takes were done, they just
Oh no. See the. Yeah.
her speed each time. So it was the fifth take, I think, that happened on the fourth or the fifth one. That
Ah. See. Yeah. See that. That's why I'm glad I get it from somebody who you are, because like I said, we're involved in different parts.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like if like I'm glad, that's why I wanted to bring it up, but
Mhm,
I'm glad like you gave me the inside scoop. Because I'm not involved with the stunt world, so sometimes if I do read it, it's like, oh, is that? But yeah, I do agree. It is important to take stuff with a grain of salt. Grain of salt.
mhm.
um.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you letting me know about that, because then it's like now it's like, oh, okay. But anyway, yes. So I wanted to jump into and let me just check on time. Yeah, we're still good. Okay. Wanted to jump in. So I start to see you in a lot of great stuff, and like it seems like it just happened. It didn't happen overnight, but you know the expression, like where it's just like, bam, Damali's in Gotham. Damali is in FBI. I'm trying to think of shows where, Orange is the New Black, and then the shows we don't even see you in, because you are. I'm looking at your IMDb, and it's like, wait, that was Damali, was that, or you were stuntable for this person, and it's like, um, what are some of your? And I think probably Gotham is one of my favorites, because I love like just how,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
as a and having worked that show, like I'm a fan of anything DC and Marvel, but
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, you're like an official DC character,
Yeah.
like it,
Shadow Woman, technically, yeah.
yeah, which is cool. How are you? So are you a fan of like
You
comic
know,
books or?
if I'm more of a Marvel fan, to be honest.
Oh, nice.
And Marvel, honestly, when it comes to the Avengers, not even the Defenders aspect of it, but I am a huge Marvels and Avengers side of that fan. The books with
Yeah,
Fury and everything, those were great. But the other side, I didn't really much get into as much. I only had to dive into it as of recent because, again, I had to play the Shadow Woman character for young
yeah,
Batman now growing up, and all those villains and things like that. But that was just exciting, a lot of fun to like bring together, to put together, and easy enough in its sense, but like not easy enough when it was like outside of the choreography. Sometimes it got a little complicated. There's so many of us fighting,
yeah.
kind of thing. But it was great. It was the most makeup I think I've put on set so far. Like they picked me up, makeup and hair products. There's so much
Oh yeah,
spraying.
I see the photo. Yeah, I see the photo.
Fruit cake. My face was like
Yeah,
a little tight back. My hair was as hard as a rock to stay up. It's
yeah.
so
They're always Gotham is always like that with the hair wardrobe, because I'm even looking at the photo, and I saw the episode live because I love the show.
yeah,
But even one of the lady behind Penguin has
yeah,
like
yeah,
and in
yeah.
Gotham, I always remember they were like,
Crazy
yeah,
for sure.
but like, what is that? All right, I'm trying to let me get back to my IMDb. There we go. So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think when the first time. I feel like that was the first time I kind of
I think it was
saw you.
for most people. Orange is the first one
Yeah.
because I act when I'm acting, you can see me clear as day. Which is
Mhm.
not she could double this person. She so I mean Orange I think was one of the first ones because that was myself, and that one I think was one of the funner ones too because it was just like real doing all those months, almost a year worth of background on that show, and now being like one of the principals for the day was just
Yeah.
fantastic. That was like a dream come true.
Mhm.
After all that time, and that when I was myself because I was like a bully. I was like locked up in the C block
Yeah.
convict kind of thing. I picked a fight, yeah, kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
think that was kind of the first one, and then Gotham for sure. But anytime I'm like myself, people like they'll point it out, they'll send it to me and be like, I like, oh, I forget it's airing sometimes, and I'll tune in. And but I love when it does pop up. It's really fun to kind of see the project come together. Uh,
Hmm.
mhm.
Not, I no, I definitely agree. Like even there were shows I didn't even realize was airing that particular night. So if I did do background or there was a video I acted in, and then all of a sudden like you'll be off the internet for a few hours, and then you log in, and then there's like 100 messages. Oh my god, was that you on Gotham? Well, how'd that? I mean, so how'd that like feel the first time you received a bunch of messages for? You said
That
it was Gotham or Orange?
For me, I think it was Orange, the one that was just like really overwhelming because people were like putting it up in their stories, people were posting it themselves, reposting it.
Yeah.
And it was like they get to it before I got to it because usually I don't go, like, I won't write down. At first, I used to do it when I was doing background work. I always used to go and look to see when it would air, to see if I'd even see myself, you know. And then now the jobs, like, I guess they picked up a little more and you're doing so many other things. I forget to write down the date, especially sometimes because I've worked many shows that I've never seen the show myself, you
Oh
know.
wow.
I
Yeah.
tend to really just enjoy, and now I'm learning, especially in this a lot of this downtime, this quarantine time, that I really love when I get to be a part of the creative process of the show from the beginning to the end. When I can really develop a character because I understand exactly what the writer is trying to produce, you know, and then
Hmm.
it works out just so much better in that stuff. So I usually don't go looking for these shows that I just, all right, you gave me the script for the day. I can understand the context of it in the day of, but I don't really understand the show. I don't usually tend to go looking for those or the ones where I double more for the most part, unless I got, you know, I had an outside experience where I got to meet people I've always wanted to meet kind of thing, then I can make a note of it. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, my friends tend to tell me. But that's I went on a tangent there. But Orange was definitely the first one where it was just like, I mean, I for the week or two, it was just people was like, they were reposting it, they were putting in their stories, it was getting calls and texts and stuff, and they're like, oh, I just saw because it was a big show of its time, which is it's really fascinating because Orange is the New Black, you know, is a book, and they finished writing and showing, producing the book in the first season, but I believe Orange
Hmm.
got all the way to like season 6 or 7. You know, like it ended up
Yeah. One of those. Yeah.
with the writers and everything. So yeah, that was just I was really excited to be a part of that, and that coordinator trusted me to do that character, and it was still
Hmm.
short and sweet, but that was definitely the first one I remember. And then of course Gotham, and that was a couple times. Like you see me more in certain episodes than you do in others, but that one was just fun because every time it was just the whole getting all dolled up to be such a badass. Really, it was just really
Yeah.
cool, but as a doll, you know, and not like kind of thing. But
Well, and you're with Penguin. I mean, I'm sure. I don't. I mean, I know how it always is with the main actors. But like? Do you still like? Are you still reserved? Like, or do you now carry conversations with them because you now are on that
no,
level?
not with the guy who played Penguin. No, on that
Yeah.
side, the only people that I kind of from Gotham was like Norm Douglas, Turner Smith. Those guys. Turner Smith just texted me 2 weeks ago. Turner Smith was the main. This is the main. He was like a second AD. Was Norm Douglas in
Hmm.
he and the boss, the stunt coordinator. Turner Smith was the main double of the detective of, but all
Jim Gordon.
Jim, yeah, the entire time.
Oh
He
wow.
he texted me for a job coming up on another show a couple weeks ago, but Netflix is redoing a lot of their platform right now, so their schedule is constantly changing. So I'm still waiting for the exact dates on that. So yeah, no, but when it comes to the actors and actors, that is not a show of which I keep up with. Not Gotham. Tremors, yes. The main double, like the more I look like the double, the more I think they kind of want to keep me there in their back pocket,
Mhm.
so just in case they do have something that comes up. But no, I don't definitely, especially now that the Gotham isn't even filming anymore. Um,
Yeah.
they're wrapped, they're all done. But
Hmm.
yeah, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to dive into as well, and like I said, already great conversation. I'm really glad we get to talk. But so now I see you start doing this stuff, and I'm like, oh, cool. he's involved with the film industry. Um, and I'm like, and I always love when people come see my improv shows. So I was like, oh, maybe Damali will want to come see my shows. It's like it's worth the message because I loved seeing your post and I supported you. I always liked your stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll send you a message. So what was that like? I always like to hear,
Your
like I
improv.
guess reuniting as well, like because I don't think I had seen you from since
Mm-hmm.
the SO dinner, right in 2000 when I had big hair. I had big hair and plaid, you know, and
Did
now
we didn't see each other after then? Did we not see each? Did we go to a dinner? Did Ben Pensada have like a dinner? I feel did we not see each other at all since high school?
no, I didn't. No, oh, we did see the SO dinner. I meant, sorry, wasn't it 2011? I think it was after high school.
It was
I
after.
was in college.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that might have been the last. That was the last time I saw you before
I think so.
2019. Okay.
Yeah,
That was really good. I had no idea that you also fell into this industry. Like again, I didn't know.
yeah,
Like you said, you bought your camera in 2008. I left. I graduated in 2007. So I didn't even know that this was your transition at the time. And then I started seeing you post all these things of what you were doing, and then the theater. Was it the Pit Theater in the city? That was like
yeah,
really cool to see that you were like, and you had these shows that you were throwing yourself in these theaters that like it's still of such a significant NYC theater, and then to do improv is not the easiest thing to do. Like I don't
oh
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
shivers and super kudos to you, Devin, because that was amazing.
Thanks.
Like every time I did come to see you, because I mean I love improv. I do have to take a second though because you had such a great game face. I would be dying my
Thank you.
whole way through. Like like I
Yeah, yeah,
myself, but you kept rolling with the punches. The team that you were working with kept rolling with the punches. So both
oh,
times
thank you.
very, very much entertained. And y'all was really good catching up again. Definitely. I know we don't get to as often. I just realized how big of a gap that was between then and seeing you in those shows. And then now again,
Yeah,
but this year was just been forfeited for most anyway. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
definitely.
well, I oh sorry, what were you gonna say? Oops.
No, it definitely made a gap wider because
Yeah,
you know.
it happens. Like, and I do try to support all my friends when I can with liking, but liking a post and hopefully like if I could share something or that's important. But it is tough. There's a lot of people in high school, who I have tried to invite to shows and they haven't never come, and I don't hold anything against them. I guess I'm always looking for like, oh, I'd like to reunite with somebody, and I know sometimes it is difficult, but then like a show is kind of a good anchoring point where it's like, oh, you can come. Usually I think I can get my friends free tickets, back when there was live theater. Now you can just watch all my shows on YouTube, so you don't even need but to me it was like, oh, it's a good, like I tried to get Freddie to come, but I know he was busy. And I know, of course, like I said, I appreciate you taking out your time.
Everything too.
What?
He was also busy trying to get married and everything too because his
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
wedding got forfeited too. Because then now with the quarantine and everything, his wedding was
yeah.
happening in Mexico in March, and
Oh
so
wow.
everything shut down. They were unable to get married there. I mean,
Oh gee. Oh man.
so they were preparing for that for like a good year, and
Yeah.
so I know things
Uh,
pop up in people's lives and stuff. So I'm sure
yeah.
people have the best of intentions, like Mr. Frank Bepizzata and all of them too,
Yeah.
trying to get through. So.
Yeah. I don't, and like I said, I don't hold anything because it is life. It is tough. But and I was like I said, that's why I was like, oh, let me reach out. We're sort of at different points in our lives where we are now, like, and it's such a like like two different sides of the coin. Looking at like, say 2007, I didn't have a camera. I didn't even really start YouTube until after you left. You didn't even you didn't even. I'm sure stunts were a million miles away in your head, or maybe not even in your.
Definitely
And so
have like that.
it's then you flip the coin, and then it's like the 2007 versions of us are completely different in better. I think better ways. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Yeah, versus the 2017 version of us. 10 years,
Oh
like
yeah,
2007 to 2017, were like two different.
yeah,
Point. Yeah, you're right. You're
yeah.
absolutely
It's like immediately because it's like it's and we just have a few minutes left. We'll keep but like I said, it is like I said, looking at your IMDb, I've been looking at it because I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you did that, and half of the time, I don't think anybody would unless you went to IMDb, because when you are a stunt double, you're not. You could probably, I don't know if you could still, like some of the old films, you can pause and then you can see it's a different person. I
Yeah.
wonder if I should try to. I don't know if I don't
You
know if they. I think
too, but they blend it a lot better. It
it's
depends
better.
on what the
Yeah.
production is. Some you could see clear as day. Like, okay, that is not
Wait, what'd you say, Tommy? What'd you
what?
say, Tom? Did you say Tommy?
No, I said sometimes you can see clear as day.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah,
It is not the person. Still today in some of these productions, you pause and you're like, ah, that's a either their wigs are
yeah,
just off or something is not matching. You're like, oh, I know that the double or
yeah,
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 like I don't know. But I do love the acting aspect of it when you get the role. Like they just need an actor who can do stunts. Like they'll hire a stunt person for an acting role, and it's just like this acting role is just filled with stunts that it doesn't make sense hiring
mhm,
two people for. Those I love. You know, getting
yeah,
I get to bring that actor to self, like that character to self, myself. I get to bring that character to life myself and not have to,
yeah.
study the other person and what their version of that person would be.
Ye- Uh, speaking of that, as I'm just making sure, um, like I said, appreciate you coming to the improv show. Now it looks like from what I've seen recently, that first off, like I'm looking at your actress IMDb, and now it seems like you got two shorts. It says, and I mean, I know, stunts are acting as well. I'm just talking in terms of IMDb, how they're
Hmm.
separate.
Yep.
They're obviously it's all the same in my head as well, even though it is different. But like so now it's like, you know, Vamp Night, which I saw the video behind the scenes, which looks incredible.
Yeah.
Not only are what's it called, your associate producer, but then also finders keepers. So you're
Yeah.
listed as actress as well as that. Could you
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah, that's
Those two?
really exciting. I'm excited. Well, that one I did last year, the Finders Keepers. I'm a bail bondsman hunting down
Yeah.
some people for a package, and that was a last minute job I did with somebody I actually coached with. He became a coordinator last year for the first time. So I mean, and we had talked about him coordinating eventually 10 years from then, but apparently the job came up, the offer came up 2 years after we had the conversation. So of course I went down to Connecticut to help him out, and yeah, it was
Hmm.
for acting on it was such a fun film to kind of do, and we filmed in such great places. I mean, it was hot, I will say. It took a lot of hours to kind of like make it
Yeah.
in such a short period of time. We even filmed on a submarine, which was amazing. Like
Oh
it was
wow.
really cool doing the inside and out of that. But Vamp Night, I'm super excited about. I got my first producer credit, as you saw there.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
The main actress that's on there. It's we Roberto Lopez, one of the people I told you that if I need advice or I'd go to, who's
Mhm.
I'm a part of their stunt team, Stuntworks, wrote and directed this film, and it was quick kind of idea. It was just that we had so many things, so much downtime and so many things have also again gotten done that he decided he was just going to put this, he had the creative juices flowing, as he'd say, and it's something that he wanted to just kind of display, and he figured he could do in this time. So it was such because we had such a downtime, and he called all these other people or all the other people on our team to kind of come together and hope that they were available. But although nothing was really filming yet, so everyone ended up saying yes, and we kind of just came out to start bringing this story to life. He told us about it, and it sounded exciting, and it was well within our means. From the place we train at, like we had a warehouse that we turned into our set, like a hot set, and this is the head rigger. Roberto Lopez is like one of the head riggers in New York itself. Like he's the head rigger on Glass, Glass and Split, those M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, those are great film. Yeah.
Right, so he's the head rigger for, so anytime you see them flying or going through the air or moving really fast, that was Roberto. And then that was a lot
Oh
of
yeah. Yeah.
too that was there. Manny Severio was the coordinator. So I love these guys. They're such a great team to work with. I always feel safe around them. This was the team that helped bring Vamp Night, this movie, together. So, and we did have a shorthand of it. Like we didn't have like a your average, like we didn't have an AD, So there were a lot of things in Slack that needed to be picked up. So as I kept doing so, he offered me the producer credit because it was a lot of work, side work that we had to kind of put in, and I ran with it. I was like, yes, please. Like I love the whole idea, even on IMDb now, that it's just like stunts, actress, producer, like that. Those are the
Yeah.
three, and I just want to take it from there. And this is a project now that I got to work on, like I said, from beginning to end. And and I just realized that this year I feel like I could just bring so much more to the table when I can understand the entire vision of what the writer wants and what the producer wants to produce from the beginning to end. I feel like I can definitely offer a lot more and develop characters so much better than if I understand the full story and start from beginning to end. So yeah, it's definitely really excited for Vamp Night. That should be dropping this Halloween. So by the end of this week, it should be
Ooh, yeah.
in the top.
I'm. Well, we'll I'll put. I mean, even though this won't be released for a bit, but I'll put the links in. Um, but yeah, like I said, I just think you have the right mindset, and anybody who wants to succeed in the industry, it's important to learn as much as you can,
Yeah.
in this industry, because I think and let me know what you think. I think it is important to be, you know, have like you can do camera, you can write, you can do stunts, whatever you can. Like I love, like I said, writing and improv and acting.
All
Yeah,
of including the PAs who always are back and forth, and it takes all of these people are very much important to get this a project to work. Like everyone has to be a good
yeah,
team. The better the team, the better the project. It seems to come
it's
out.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that communication and a great collab to make it work. So yeah,
yeah. Well, uh, before we're gonna wrap it up soon, but
mhm.
I do wanna ask, like I guess so like I said, your resume is growing with like I said, what it is the producing and the acting and the stunts. But like what's something you really like? Do you want to write one day? Do you want to write a feature film, or do you want to direct? Do you like are you will doing what's it called, stunt coordinators? Is that who's in charge of
Yeah, that
when you do stunts?
charge of
Yeah,
the guys. Yes.
yeah,
I'm taking
yeah.
it one step at a time. I'd love to do. I just started writing. I just got a little booklet. I started writing choreography for fight scenes.
Hmm.
So I've been choreographing fight scenes throughout in my little books. I'm writing there, and not of beginning into little shorts. Like I want to start with writing a scene, like a fight scene, and go
Yeah,
like fight scenes and go from there. Stunt coordinating, I am very much ways from that. Like
mm,
even that you need a minimum amount of credentials, and I still feel like there's still way more for me to learn. But eventually, I think I could definitely jump into stunt coordinating. That would be really exciting. But I have a
yeah,
more to learn at this point before I can take on a job like that because I'd want my team to be safe. I want make sure that I know absolutely what I'm doing is the right thing to be doing at that time.
hmm,
I never, when it comes to, I never really thought about the whole directing, but writing and producing and being that second, even if I'm an AD, like that second AD, or just really second unit directing, which is more of the action. I can see that. So I still have further goals, like like
yeah,
but I'm still some ways away from there. But so with each project, I'm learning a little more. So I love taking on a little more responsibility each time because then I can learn more, and I'm really like just like you said, like it's it seems like I kind of popped out of nowhere. It's just that as soon as I realized that this is what I was passionate about and this is what I wanted to do, is full steam ahead, and
yeah,
gonna try and keep that as much as I can. This year kind of came to a full pause. It did, but it gave me some time to reflect and look into I think what I want to do more with this, how I can bring more to this and what I actually really want because you being in it and you're busy and you're back and forth with everything. It tends to build up and you don't really have time to introspect and take that time to self-reflect on absolutely like what you want to do and how you can go about doing it, and a lot of the rules are going to change now and protocols are going to change now and how you like hustle
yeah,
these things. So I don't know how that'll affect still, so I'm still trying to see how we can get into it. Currently, I'm working on a project. I can't say too much because it's we signed an NDA, but we're doing some stunt
mm,
driving for the TV show For Life. They have started back up.
okay,
So it's just been that's been exciting. But again, like all these sets they're all closed sets now, so it's not things aren't as open, and so you're really gonna have to get that phone call. I'm just glad that some of these calls are coming in, and they did not forget about me in this time and really
yeah, it's good.
for it. And so we'll see. where this goes. But I'm just every time I do one of these things, I learn a little more, and I want to utilize that to eventually either do stunt coordinating or eventually maybe yeah, I'll have a whole project myself and I'll direct something or even second unit directing. And, but we'll see. Time will tell. But
Yeah,
open to very much doing any of this. I love productions. I love working on projects and bringing stories to life. I love it. I love it. I can't say it
yeah.
enough.
No, yeah, it really is. Like I said, once it finally clicks, like I said, I haven't looked back either since when I got my camera. I haven't looked back. That's like I said, almost 13, more than 13 years now. Well, 2007, but so yeah, I completely understand. It's like you love it. This is your passion,
Yeah,
and I could tell.
yeah,
And looking at your credits, like I said, even when I looked at it again to refresh, I was like, holy, there's new ones up there. You
yeah.
know,
I
so it's
didn't
amazing.
add. There's like a couple I didn't add so far, but yeah,
Yeah, wow.
I'm really trying to get push that so I can get bigger and bad. The more numbers means the more experience, and that's really what I'm looking for right now. And
Yeah,
to do is learn. I'm still learning. I still feel like I'm in the deep end, like push end, but learning as I go. So I'm really grateful for these opportunities, so I can do so. So then I can have get that opportunity to coordinate or get that opportunity to direct, and I feel like I'm prepared and I'm totally ready to get to that point.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Well, because we're short on time, is there anything you'd like to promote or anything you'd like to say before we end?
Check out Vamp Night. Like Vamp Night is the next project we have coming out. Like if you guys
Hmm.
subscribe on YouTube, we created a channel. That's where it's gonna air for the first time, hopefully by the end of this week. But even if you do see this after then, and it's after Halloween, please check out Vamp Night, YouTube Vamp Night, and subscribe, please. If we can, we're looking to get at least 100 subscribers, so we can kind of make it its own channel. And it's
Okay.
YouTube would acknowledge it. So yeah, but check that out. It's a short thriller horror. If you like thriller and horror, it's not too scary, but it'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Hopefully, if you love vampires, definitely check it out.
All right.
But that's the only thing I kind of would promote. Yeah, I think
Cool.
yeah.
Well, yeah, like I said, we'll put your links in the Zenca or podcast or YouTube as well, because this will be like YouTube audio file and a video. It would be picture. But like I said, it's been. I guess I'll close this out. It's been amazing talking to my guest, Damali, who, like I said, we go back to a long time ago. Like I said, different sides of the coin where now, like I said, we are involved in this industry, and it was, like I said, it was great talking to you. And everybody at home, make sure you watch those TV shows closely, because it could be Damali who's getting beat up, and you might not even know it. Watch it closely for me as well. Just to, I'm just but like I said, thank you, Damali, for being here. You've been amazing.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Donovan. I'm happy to do this. This was fun.
It
So
was great catching up.
anytime.
Yeah. Thank you. Once again, I'm Donovan TPS. You can subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to this podcast platform wherever it's uploaded. Just hit the subscribe or like. Subscribe to me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram and do all that fun stuff. Once again, thank you, Damali. I'm Donovan TPS. Pinkies up. This has been another episode of Reflections.